Hey everybody, it's Uncle John from Your Story Hour, and I'm back to bring you another chapter from Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and Stillmo by Sam Campbell. Today's chapter is chapter number 9, and it's entitled Peanut Problem. Let's get to it. Duke's letter stirred up a new wave of enthusiasm at the sanctuary. Little had we realized that the simple experiences at our island sanctuary could be of interest to men facing the severity of war conditions. The squints must have thought we had suddenly gone crazy. We pursued them constantly with our cameras. We caught their footprints on paper. We measured them and even cut tiny bits of fur from their bushy tails, all to send to Duke. A regular weekly bulletin was mailed to him, bearing the latest adventures of the 5 Redskins and their tiny pals. It was the desire for more material for this bulletin that made us prepare a problem for our chipmunks and squirrels one morning. There was no little consternation among them when they came to the feeding station. Not a peanut was in sight, anywhere. Eeny came first, sniffed at the scattered cracked corn and the breadcrumbs, and then ran away disappointed. Mo looked the situation over and stretched out on a log in the morning sun. Meeny, Miney, and Stillmo arrived at about the same time. They noted the absence of peanuts, blamed it on one another, and for a while there was a free-for-all among them. The chipmunks were concerned, but more easily satisfied. Stubby, Beggar Boy, Mrs. Beggar Boy, and now Junior looked about for peanuts for a moment and then settled down to fill their cheeks with corn. The squirrels grew more insistent, particularly Stillmo. With his typical aggressiveness, he began demanding peanuts. He perched on a low limb outside the kitchen window and scolded Giny, who was working at the sink. Stillmo was becoming a beautiful squirrel. His stubby tail had grown very bushy. His fur was thick, red, and very sleek. Giny pampered him a great deal, and he seemed to realize it. Hence he turned loose all his persuasive power upon her. He whimpered a little as if begging, then scolded. Then he ran all over the screen before her. "If you'll look around a bit, Stillmo, you may find a peanut," Giny said. "Now wake up. We want to see how smart you are." But Stillmo kept on scolding. He didn't want to prove his smartness. He wanted peanuts. We had prepared a test for our little friends. Near the feeding station, we had stretched a rope between 2 trees about 5 feet from the ground. From this rope, a peanut had been suspended by a string about 2 feet long. There it hung, the only peanut on the place, swinging back and forth in the morning breeze. Chipmunks and squirrels had been running beneath it, but so far none had discovered it. Jenny had a difficult time being as severe as necessary in this IQ test for squirrels. She wanted to give in to their scolding and begging and toss them peanuts by the handful. But to do so would spoil all plans. No, they had to search. For 2 hours, the lonely peanut hung at the end of that string without being noticed. There was constant haranguing and not a few battles. Then little Beggar Boy ran up one tree, across the rope, and down the other tree. He seemed to pay no attention to the peanut. But soon I saw him on the ground, standing on his hind legs and looking up at the prize. Next, Meeny ran up a tree, across the rope, and down the other. Stillmo tried it, and even lazy old Mo went across the tightrope. Now Beggar Boy came up from one side, Meeny from the other, and they met halfway across. For just a moment they paused a few inches apart, eyeing each other. Then Meeny made a dash for Beggar Boy, who executed the usual chipmunk safety move of jumping right up in the air and landed on the ground with a thud 5 feet below. He was not hurt in the least and went dashing into the brush, incidentally chasing Stubby before him. But Meeny had made a discovery. There was a live peanut, swinging leisurely back and forth before him. He balanced for a moment on the rope as if to jump to it, but decided that it was not the right idea. He ran to one tree and part way down. The peanut was out of reach. He ran beneath it and looked up. It was still out of reach. He ran to the other tree and reached out, but the distance was too great. Stillmo appeared on the scene now, and for a moment he and Meeny forgot to fight. Stillmo jumped for the peanut, time and again. He always fell just a little short. While he stood there looking up to calculate the distance, Meeny ran partway up one of the trees and without hesitation jumped out toward the peanut. He lit squarely on Stillmo. There was a scuffle that started a riot. Stillmo ran under the house with Meeny hard after him. A moment later they reappeared, but now Stillmo was chasing Meeny. Stubby saw them and chased both of them. Mo took out after Stubby. For a few minutes, everyone on the island was chasing everyone else, and the peanut waved triumphantly in the breeze. All was quiet for about an hour. Then the little performers started to reappear. Each one went through the same routine when he arrived. Stubby, Stillmo, Beggar Boy, Meeny, Miney, Mo, and now Eeny. One after another they came to the rope, jumped futilely for the peanut, climbed one tree, ran across the rope and down the other tree. So long did they keep it up that I despaired of their ever solving the problem. Then Stillmo justified my faith in his intelligence. He came bounding out of the forest with obvious purpose. I have often wondered what went on in his little mind. It seemed certain that he had thought out his plan. Without the least hesitation or uncertainty, he raced up one tree and out on the rope. Fastening his hind feet firmly, he hung head downward beside the peanut, beside the string. Reaching out with his front feet, he pulled it up, hand over hand, until he had the peanut in his grasp. With a look of triumph, he started running down the rope, forgetting that the peanut was still attached to the string. When he had reached the length of the rope, it brought him to a sudden stop. He lost his balance and fell to the ground below. Hardly had his feet touched the ground, though, before he bounded up the tree and out on the rope again. He knew how to do it now. Again he hung head downward and pulled up the string hand over hand. This time he paused for a moment, balancing himself marvelously on the rope while he cut the string with his sharp teeth. When the peanut was free, he raced away triumphantly, carrying it to his favorite hollow tree. So the problem was solved. Not only had Stillmo figured it out for himself, but for all of the others as well. Chipmunks and squirrels alike caught on to the trick so quickly it seemed sure they had learned it from observing him. We tied as many as 12 peanuts on the rope at one time, and the little busybodies would take them off as fast as we put them there. It was a fine display of intelligence. The rope was the scene of some mighty fine circus stunts in the days that followed. Our movie cameras ran hot recording the odd little trick. And here was one more thing to write and tell Duke. And that's the end of chapter number 11. Tomorrow, Aunt Nikki is going to bring to you another chapter, this time number 12, and it's entitled, A Hole in Nothing. Come back and we'll find out what that's all about. See you later.